The Bucs win their second straight game the only way they know how, with defense. We'll talk about the game and if the Bucs legitimately have a shot to make the playoffs right now. Welcome back to the Play Reaction. I'm Corey Draper, and this is the place to catch up on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Real quick, I want to remind you to subscribe and share this video with your friends who may just have checked out before the Bucs started winning and looking like an actual NFL team. Speaking of which, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. And while the offense looked serviceable, the Bucs actually won this game because of their defense. I don't even know how to react to this. What makes it even more baffling is that the Bucs were playing backups in the entire secondary. And not just backups, like backups to backups. By the end of the game, they were officially down 4 cornerbacks and 3 safeties. As you know, safety Chris Conte went on IR earlier in the year. Then during this game, Justin Evans and Jordan Whitehead went down with injury. That meant that the safeties were Isaiah Johnson and Andrew Adams, who the Bucs picked up in September. As for the corners, you know Vernon Hargreaves was also placed on IR earlier in the year. But before this game, it was announced that Brent Grimes, Carlton Davis, and MJ Stewart were all ruled out. This meant that the guys playing on the outside were Ryan Smith and Devontae Harris, with Javian Elliott in the slot. Yeah, so the Bucs secondary was star-studded on Sunday. But these backups stepped up to the challenge, forcing 4 interceptions, 3 of which coming from Andrew Adams. You know, like we all predicted. Okay, I'll admit, I saw how decimated this secondary was, and I thought it was going to be a long day for Tampa Bay. So why wasn't it? Well, let's dig a little deeper as we talk about what was awesome about this game. So obviously the 4 picks are the most awesome thing about Sunday. But how in the world did that happen? Well, it's no coincidence that this defensive front 7 also had 4 sacks. Honestly, they could have had a lot more if it wasn't for the fact that Cam Newton seemingly greases himself in butter before each game. The D-line and linebackers were all over the Panthers all day and forced Cam to make bad decisions and bad throws. That had a direct impact in forcing the 4 interceptions. And that's not to take away anything from Adams and Elliott, who both made the most of their opportunities. One thing's for sure, Mark Duffner has fixed this defense. They're not perfect, but they never had to be. They just needed to do their job. In the last few weeks, we've seen it come together. Now, imagine how things would be if we fired Mike Smith earlier than we did. As for the offense, they once again were effective, but not flashy. Jameis protected the ball and they scored enough to win. Winston finished the day with 2 touchdowns and 0 picks, and that's about as solid as you can be. He did have 1 pass that was almost intercepted in the end zone, but other than that, he made great throws and great non-throws. With Deshaun Jackson out, Chris Godwin and Adam Humphries stepped up big. Honestly, none of us should be surprised by this. These two have heart and grit and are as reliable as they come. And yes, Cairo Santos is still our kicking savior. He's yet to miss a kick as a Buccaneer. So was there anything that was not awesome about this game? I can think of a few things. But before I do, I wanted to remind you about the Beard Balm brush. This thing is the reason I'm able to keep a long beard and not look like a homeless person. It's a brush made out of essential oils and butters that tames your face sweater and makes it feel nice and smooth. So check out the link in the description below if you or someone you know has facial hair. It makes a fantastic stocking stuffer. Now let's discuss what was not so awesome about the Bucs win. So I honestly should just rename this section to the O-line Suckfest segment because they continue to be subpar. Left tackle Donovan Smith had a horrible game. He looked like he would just stick his arms up to block once and then just stand there and watch the play go by him. He also had key penalties and gave up a big sack in the second half. This guy is supposed to be our franchise left tackle but has just been way too inconsistent. It may be time for the Bucs to explore looking for his replacement. What stinks is that solid left tackles are really hard to find. We'll see how it pans out. And then there's Caleb Ben No Block. Yeah, that's all I have to say about him. Staying with the offense, they pretty much fizzled out in the second half. The defense kept getting picks and the offense just could not convert even a first down in the end. If they do this against a more prolific offense, like say the Saints next week, the ending could look a lot different. Something else that wasn't awesome in this game was the officiating. Holy moly, it was horrible. They missed penalties on both sides and called ones that seemed to not even occur. The worst moment was when Peyton Barber scored this touchdown. And yes, he did score a touchdown here, but the refs decided to call it a fumble and a touchback even after reviewing the play. Oh, I'm being a homer, you say? Let's watch the replay. Keep an eye on Donovan Smith's shoulder here. It's right on the goal line. Peyton reaches the ball over his arm before losing control. That is a touchdown, and the refs straight up stole it from the Buccaneers. Horrible. Anyway, we won, so take that, Zebras. Here's what's next for the Buccaneers. This week, the Buccaneers play the New Orleans Saints at home. We all remember what happened in Week 1 against the Saints, and you better believe they do too. Drew Brees has been playing at an MVP level this year, and the Saints have only lost one other game, which was their game last Thursday against the Cowboys. So we're playing New Orleans coming off a loss and a long week. It's not going to be easy, guys, and I'm not going to pretend that we have a top 10 defense now. Jameis is likely going to have some Fitzmagic and go toe-to-toe with Brees this week. Thankfully, the Cowboys showed how a team can stop the Saints' offense. Hopefully, Duffman will have the defense ready. Oh yeah! But does it even matter? Do the Bucs even have a shot to make the playoffs? Well, yeah, they do. The Bucs have to do the improbable, which is win out, but they also need some help. But maybe not as much help as you think. After the dust settled Monday night, the Bucs are just 2 games out of the wild card with 4 games to play. That means we have to root hard against the Vikings, the Seahawks, the Redskins, the Cowboys, and the Eagles, as well as every other team behind us in the standings like the Falcons, the Packers, the Lions, and the Giants. We basically have to root against the entire NFC East. The teams we won't want to tie with in the standings are the Giants and the Redskins, since we lost to both of them and they would own the tiebreaker. So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah! Look, it's super improbable and most likely too little too late, but it's fun to win and I will continue rooting for a win no matter what. Disagree? Then you should watch my last video over here to the right. So what do you think? Do the Bucs have a chance here? And do you think we can actually sweep the Saints? As always, let me know in the comments. And remember to follow me on social media to keep the conversation going. Here's to a fun final month of the season. Go Bucs!